How's it going, guys? It's Cole from See Through Panel, here to talk about It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth, an autobiographic novel by Zoe Thorogood, published by Image Comics, and retailing for $13 US. As you can see, memoir, slice of life. Before I get started, I'm not going to spoil too much about this book. I will be talking about it a bit more than I normally do in my book reviews. This is going to be more of a review than an overview, because spoilers, I really loved this book a lot, and I have a lot to say about it. I don't want to say too much to spoil things, but I am going to be going a little bit deeper on it than I have on some of my other overviews. So if you're worried about that, read it first, come back, and then we can gush over how wonderful it is afterwards. So this is a book that I will immediately compare to In by Will McPhail that Fahad and I talked about quite a while ago on the podcast, and it was the best thing we had read from the year that it came out. And I've got to say, this came out in 2022. I just read it this year, though. It might be the best thing I read in 2023. I don't know if I can see anything beating this book. It is such a personal, well-realized look at a person's life going through anxiety, depression, on top of the pandemic. And I think there's a lot of elements about that kind of thing that we can all identify with, whether or not we're depressed, whether or not we have anxiety. There's a lot of things in this book that make it completely human and grounded and just wonderful and joyous to read, even if it's sad at times. Zoe Thorogood's art style, there's a picture of the artist and writer. Art style has a lot of different styles to it. Typically we're getting either this kind of style or this face on her. Also the back is there's It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth is an intimate and meta-narrative look into the life of a selfish artist who must create for her own survival. And that is one of the themes throughout the book, is that Zoe Thorogood is making this book, but she doesn't know why, and she's really just doing it for herself, because she's always working for the next project as something to look forward to hold off her depression and things like that. And it's dark, and it's deep, and it's painful at times to read, but the art really is so full of life and has a lot of passion in it. And that you can see in this splash page here how serious things get immediately on page 2. That right there is a representation of her depression or her sadness, or her, could be a lot of things, honestly, but negative emotions, negative energy. We start the book off with light spoilers, with thinks she's just been left by a boyfriend or a significant other. It just says he left, so I'm not, maybe it's even just a roommate, I don't know. It's someone that left her life. She's very down. She's been drawing a book called Rain, Joe Hill's Rain, if you guys have read that. Zoe Thorogood was the artist on that. She's been drawing that, but she's not as satisfied drawing somebody else's book, even though it's a good way for her to escape and is a little lighter for her to draw someone else's book, but it's not as satisfying for her. And without getting too deep into it, there are things that happen. She's looking forward to things. Those things don't happen. It's soul-crushing. The things that do happen just kind of twist her depression and her view of herself around, and constantly she's changing what she wants the book to be. She even, kind of a spoiler, she even halfway through this book ends it and restarts it, and you get the cover again and the splash and everything again. There's a lot of meta-narrative here. This is very pun, with her face being drawn over her actual body in actual kind of more realistic style with the cartoony face. There's the actual, yeah. And then this striped shirt, without getting too deep into it, is kind of symbolic of the place she's in and the place she hopes to get out of with her life. There's also a lot of moments where the book is really cute. Like, she's a young person, an artist, so she's got a lot of personality and she's got a lot of stories, and she's got a friend that's completely opposite her, who's very expressive and very outgoing and loves to talk with people. And she's kind of an introvert, her friend's kind of an extrovert, and I love the way that they bounce off each other. And then there's meta things like her talking to her friend, and her friend's like, oh, draw me like this in the book. Right? Or she'll be talking with a guy, and he says, oh, this is going to be in your book, isn't it? And that's the kind of meta stuff that I know some people cringe or back away from meta things, but in a autobiographical, like memoir style story, I think it really works. And especially in this kind of thing, this is her mapping out her future character development. Current me, pathetic worm-like, lacking in discernible human qualities, with the same shirt. future me, cool, character developed, everyone wants to marry me. Uh, it's it's got so much passion in it, so much character and emotion in the layouts, in the art. I mean, obviously in the writing, and I don't have enough to say about it. It's the reason it reminds me of In is because of what it has to say about the human condition and expressing yourself and trying to just be out there and communicate with people and to be happy. Really is the goal for both people, Zoe and Will. Will's is a little bit less autobiographic, but there's obviously part of him in there. There's that demon, that depression or anxiety or what have you. And it's soul crushing, man. I cried. I cried during both of these books, but I think Zoe's book made me cry more. And it's just so ridiculous sometimes. Like she's got a therapist who is a snake-headed therapist. I'll let this speak for itself. Actually, yeah, me. It's just, God, it's sad but funny at the same time. And you go back in time through her life to her childhood, and you get to know her relationship with her parents, with her friends, with a long distance relationship she's been trying to make into something more. And all the while, this figure is just looming. And I really can't get into the depths of the things I want to get into because I want to leave something for you guys to read. And if you're going to read any of the books I review, this is the one to read. I think it is just gorgeous and thought-provoking and intimate and so well done. I have a file I put all my books in, a Excel spreadsheet, and I rate them all out of 10 on a story or art scale. It doesn't really matter, but I do it just for myself. And this is one of the only books in there out of like hundreds that has a 10 out of 10, and I don't regret rating it that way. I rated it that way the first day I read the book, and then I went through and read the book again, and I didn't change the rating, and I think it's accurate. I think this is almost a perfect comic if you could ever have a perfect comic. It's obviously not like Alan Moore level writing because it's a memoir. It's not like that. It's not fiction. It's someone's life, almost like you're reading a journal drawn out and dramatized a little bit. And there is elements. There's times in this book where she says that this is so stupid. I'm making this more dramatic. It doesn't need to be like this. It's just my life. It's actually really boring. But I find that to be true about everyone. Is everyone over dramatizes their things that happen in their life. Like they take it very seriously in their head. It's so dramatic, but really it's just a thing that people go through, and it's actually very normal to play up the things that happen to you and to make them seem like it's some part of a movie and you're going to have this grand next arc where you bounce back and things like that. And there's her going on a vacation, but look who tags along. And she's aware of it, so I'm going to skip to the end here, not for plot reasons, just because I think some of the craziest art comes out towards the end. Let's see here. This is really cool. It's just a story she tells about her life earlier, but it came up before in a single panel, just this picture of this kid sitting in the street, and it comes up and you don't know anything about it, and you're wondering what the hell that was about, and then it comes full circle, obviously, and you get to realize why it's important. Here it is. So it's this far away in the book. It's like, I don't know, a fifth of the book, and you just for a second see a flashback to this kid sitting in the street, and it pays off very well. You don't wait that long. You could sit down and read this entire book in a sitting, and I think you would. I think you really would if you got going on it. That's what I did twice. Here's her having a bad trip. And I'm nearly done talking about this book because, I mean, all I have is love for this book, and I don't want to just go on and on about it, but I do want to show off some of this is towards the end, so if you're worried about being spoiled, I'm not going to talk about what's happening, but I'm going to show you, and it's fairly obvious. I just love the way she draws this demon next to her. Also, refraining from showing her eyes in these panels, getting some distance between you and her. I think it ends in just a really refreshing way, but also a way that if taken in a different angle than I took it, could be really sad. I like to think it's a happy ending. This photograph at the very end is just chilling to me, of her with all of her. This is a page. Here, I'll show you. If I can find it. There it is. There's that page right there. So this is, she actually like physically makes these comics. It's not digital art or anything. She's classic in that way, and I think that's really interesting. Obviously there's touch-ups and things digitally, and that's bound to happen. I'm sure the coloring is digital, but I didn't even talk about the fact that this is a book made all by one creator, and that creator happens to be an absolute prodigy and is like 20, I don't want to get her age, somewhere between like 22 and 24, I think. And I'm 26, and that's the type of thing that really makes you feel like you haven't done much, is that this beautiful piece of art could be made by someone so young, and there shows a lot of emotional maturity to create a thing like this, and to just be full of sarcasm about your own depression and things, and take it in a way that is easily digested by people. She packages it in a way that anybody can really identify with this and connect with this. Because we all have emotions. Even if we don't all have severe depression or things like that, we've all felt like this before in some way or another. So I'm rambling at this point. I'm repeating myself, but this book is absolutely wonderful. If you're going to buy any book I've ever reviewed, buy this one or In. I think they're both like probably two of my favorite graphic novels of all time, and I put them right next to each other. If you want to be emotionally destroyed, but also learn a lot of stuff about yourself and the human condition, these books are it, but I'm not reviewing it. This book is it, as of now. Go listen to my podcast with Vahed on In, and our interview with Will McPhail was incredible. And yeah, please just check this book out. I know it's all over the internet. Everyone loves it. It's huge. I'm one of the last people to review it. Obviously, it's well regarded everywhere. It's going to get an Eisner, I imagine. But I'm late, so what? Please read this book. It's incredible. Thank you a ton for watching. Peace out, guys.